With such a vast and culturally diverse population within the United States, many still ponder the question, what exactly does it mean to be an American? When many ask this question, they typically associate it with foreigners and immigrants attempting to get within the U.S., to better their lives, to get better job opportunities, and to avoid traumatic events, which is hugely impacting the Middle East. But with this, many shun aside the view of white people, how they feel, what it means to them to be an American. So, what exactly to them does it mean to be an American?
My name is Chad Fitzpatrick. I grew up in Lake Stevens, Washington, and to this day I still live there. My favorite childhood memory would be probably going camping at the Mardon Resort over in Moses Lake area. I've been doing that for many, many years. To this day, we still do it. What made me choose to race? Well, I am a second generation driver. My dad used to race mini stocks, and at the time they called them super stocks, which are super late models. Today, I started that in 2004, and pretty much the reason why I wanted to start was I've always liked racing. As a racer, do I experience financial issues? Um, I only experience financial issues that have to do with the car. I don't have financial issues because of the car. If it was getting to the point that I was having my own personal finances uh, that are going to be an issue for my own life, then I would quit racing. But I don't let it get that way. And if it ever does, I will take care of it from there. But the only really thing I have financial issues with the car is just trying to get sponsorship money. Do I have a side job? Well, I don't really have a side job. I call the racing the side job. My main job is a service writer at Mazda of Everett. Do my parents fund my racing career? They used to, all the way up until about 3 years ago. And that's when I took over everything, took over the bills for everything as well. Do I consider myself a middle to upper class, and why? I consider myself probably to be middle class because, I don't make a world amount of, or a whole bunch of money, but I'm also don't make too little amount of money. I make enough to get by and have all these toys that I have, race cars and other things like that. And that's why I'd consider myself to be kind of middle class, nowhere near upper class because I don't make well over six figures, but I do good with what I have.
So, based upon the info Chad has given us, we can easily tell that his ideal of what it means to be an American is to be financially stable, and this meaning between the scales of both rich and poor, neither being too rich nor too poor in this case, and being able to have enough money on the side to be able to fund a hobby or side job, which essentially is his hobby, which is racing. But essentially, this is his general ideal and can be related to many others who would like to have spare money to fund
Hey,
hobbies
Rob, more than happy
or
to help you out with your
free
project.
time
I just want to
activities.
let you
We now
know
move on to
here's
our next
our
interview of
new
Greg
race
Bennett.
shop. We took over the old Molly Helmuth Racing Stables. We call it Hang 9 Fab Works because I had a little accident in the wintertime and ended up losing a big toe over it. So we thought you'd have a little fun with that. So to answer some of your questions, I do a little cheat sheet here, but where am I from? Originally, I'm from North Seattle and moved out to the Monroe area when I was about 10, and that's actually where a lot of my racing started is because a friend of mine, Aaron Jelsick from high school, was racing out at Evergreen Speedway, and up till then I'd only done some quarter mile racing. And so anyway, moved out to Monroe and have since moved back to Seattle because I got remarried, and that's where we reside now, and that's where our race shop's at. So on to number two. Was racing part of a family thing with me? Kind of in a way. My brother Brad was a quarter mile racer, just kind of dabbled in it on weekends and stuff. And that's kind of where I got my car passion and my racing passion from. But I spent one night doing high school drags, and we got to go 15-second quarter miles, and I spent about 4 hours doing that. And back to my story about my friend Aaron Jelsick is that he was out there racing at Evergreen, invited me to come out and check it out. At that time, he was running Bombers, and he was out there for almost an hour racing. And I thought, forget drag racing. I'm going circle track. So that's kind of where it came from. But other than anybody else racing in my family, not really. I joke around a lot with the Ron Bennett and Travis Bennett and joke around and say that they're my unwanted father and brother, but no real relation there. Number 3, racing as a passion. Yeah, it just grew from there. I started out in the Bombers and decided that I really wanted to step up the game and moved up to the what they call super stocks at the time, back in '94. And from there, just kind of fed my passion, and we decided to go out on the Northwest Tour after that. And so we had a lot of fun on the tour, and then took a break from racing for a while, and just recently got back into it about 4 or 5 years ago because my son was actually old enough to be involved. And now he's actually, I was going to put him in the seat, but now he's my crew chief, and excellent shot guy. So we're really happy to be back involved, and we're even building a brand new Pathfinder right there. So got our old car there. That's a car that we originally built, and when we say built it, we built the entire chassis in-house. We did use a Port City front clip, but otherwise the rest of the car was all hand built by us. So we're pretty proud of that. It's done well, but it's also about 5-year-old technology, whereas this is brand new technology. So we'll see what happens with that. What made me want to race? I've always been competitive, whether it's been on dirt bikes or BMX bikes or now race cars. Just competitive, and I love the aspect of it that, you can go out there and you can race side by side with these guys, and it's you're doing everything you can to win the race. But what I like about what we do is that, if there's a problem in the pits, everybody's there as a family to take care of each other, and that's what's really cool. So one of the racing stories I have is when I did go out on the tour, I was running with Shane Biles and whatnot, and never been to Tri-Cities racetrack. Unfortunately, it's closed now, but never been to Tri-Cities, and it's kind of a D-shaped track. And I said, Shane, how do I get around this place? He goes, when you go through turns 2 and 3, don't lift. Just stay on it. Went out there, did what he said, scared the crap out of myself. Came back in, I said, how in the hell do you do that? He goes, you actually tried that? You're insane. He goes, I was kidding with you. Anyway, it was a lot of fun, and we've got a ton of stories regarding racing, and that's just one really quick one that's kind of fun. So how has racing shaped us? Or shaped me, I should say. Well, you know what? It's taught me, one, about getting the race car to the track is a lot of planning. And just like running my business, you got to run the race car the same way. You got a deadline you have to meet. There's goals you want to obtain, and preparation is everything. So that's what you got to do. It's helped me to focus on my business better, as well as what it takes to get to the racetrack. We usually try and arrive to the racetrack and have our car as completely prepped as possible. Now, there's always things that happen, things break, but that's one of the things we really try to do. And if we don't go there with a fully complete race car, we don't want to go, because we want to be as competitive as we can be. So this year, which is kind of funny, is we've caught onto a couple things that have made our car a lot better, but we're building a new car. So it's kind of one of those things. It gets better just as you're ready to, get out of the old one. One of the things I did miss on one of your earlier questions was, how did I fund this? So one of the things is that we, or I should say, I keep saying we as a team. That's just the way I operate. But I've always had a passion to do something like that. And if I've got a goal I'm trying to go after, I do what I need to. So in business I wanted to run my own business because I felt there'd be more opportunity for me to make more money. So I've actually been self-employed since 1993. And there's times it's been lean, there's times it's been profitable, but I know if I want to go race, I can work that much harder and be that much smarter in business and make the money I need to make. And so that's what I did. So I'm pretty fortunate that way, and business has been good lately, so we're able to do a shop like this. So we've got not only that, but I've got a little truck project we're working on as a tow rig. So we're pretty lucky. And I thank Mike Helmuth as well for giving me the opportunity to get this shop. So I hope this answers all your questions.
From a businessman's point of view, as he does own Bennett Design Construction, as previously mentioned, as he is self-employed since 1993, he really says to everyone here to be willing to take risks with your company, to broaden, to be willing to explore new paths, new roads, new opportunities, and really try and benefit off finances. As he said, that finances here in well, really all over the U.S. aren't really stable. They fluctuate. They really are affected by economy and other stuff, but that's besides the point. Um, Finances really determine what your lifestyle is like, what you're able to wear, what you're able to eat, if you even have a home, which is really connectable to the homeless issue within Seattle right now. But other than that, finances are really kind of what makes you you these days. It determines your lifestyle, as I said before. Um, but that's really it. So, moving on. As mentioned before, many people associate the question of what it means to be an American with foreigners and immigrants, but many leave out mixed race or people who share genealogical history from two different cultures, such as Mexican American or Asian American, or what all people refer to as the hyphen. How does this affect someone within the US, and how does it change their views of what it means to be an American? We now interview Johnny Gardner.
Okay, take 4 for Rob's interview questions. Where I'm from New York, but I flew out to Colorado to be with my mom, to work with her at her pizza place. If you're wondering where my dad is, I don't want to talk about it. He remarried a few years ago, and I don't get along with him as much as I used to, which is kind of hard because, well, for one, my dad has my brother and sister. I don't get to see much of them because of being out in Colorado with my mom. And where I work is my mom's pizza place. It's easier to work for my mom than strangers. The reason why, my mom and I get along. We both like to have fun while we're working. It's great. We basically talk on our days off about the business, and we love doing things together, which has been phenomenal. And we get to discuss a lot. It's harder to work with strangers because, well, for one, I'm viewed as an outsider to the strangers, and they don't see me as someone they can rely on as a worker and everything. It's hard. The finances with mine and my mom with mom and I working, it's kind of been hard because, well, for one, the rent is so high with maintaining the business and maintaining our apartment, and we also gotta help pay for my brother and sister with living with my dad and his wife and everything now. We also have to pay, my mom has to pay child support, and I basically have to help set aside money for like our rent for our internet and phone with our rent, and our rent for both our business and our apartment. I am happy with my job working with my mom. Like I mentioned before, how I get along with my mom, which is phenomenal and great. However, I do feel different because of my race and everything. Because, well, for one, my dad's Mexican, and he's in New York. Well, that's kind of hard, but I'm happy where I'm at, working with my mom. I'd rather work somewhere else down the road. However, right now I don't want to because I'm happy with my mom. But at some point, if my mom and I did have to close the family business, we would probably work on having our own little shop away from the pizzeria business.
To sum up what Johnny said, he essentially tells us that his mixed racial background makes it harder for him to work with other people and really makes it to where meeting other people's expectations are harder because they don't trust a person from that's multi-race or mixed race, which is really prevalent across all of the U.S., not just in Washington or even in New York. As mentioned, he is from New York and resides in Colorado. In fact, that's where he lives and works now, but this goes to show you that's not just within Washington State, that it's within all of the U.S. and is really a prevalent issue that racial judgment and racial stereotypes really still affect people and their ability to get a good paying job, and really plays into the factor of if people are financially stable or not. Everything up, what do all three of these interviewees share in common? Within their interviews, they do mention being financially stable, being able to not worry about going under and having power shut off, or not being able to pay their rent and being kicked out, or not having to worry about being homeless, essentially. Finances are really what makes the world go around here. If you don't have them, then life is not the same without it. You essentially don't really have the opportunity that everyone else does. As the world advances, technology really is what is opportunity now. It's not like it was back then. And really, the Dam family is a great example of this, because back in the day with cell phones, they didn't have one, so they've ended up having to really resort to other options, which is really a great example because it's not a modern example. It's actually from the 90s or 80s, I believe. I don't remember exactly, but nowadays people actually have abilities to donate phones, and it's given to homeless people, and it allows them to have them for jobs and applying for jobs and such. So, but overall, finances are what makes the world go round.